Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Godzilla Battle Line video, and today we are recording the tier list for the September season, or I guess, nope, the August season, before I forget. So, if you want to watch how I made the tier list that's on the screen right now, it is a previous one. I believe it's the last season's tier list. I did completely from scratch again. This season, we're just going to add in the characters that were recently buffed or nerfed. There's no nerfs. And then the new characters to the pre-existing tier list where they fit in with the current meta. So, we're going to go through the buffed characters first. I actually had them in the right order, but they just went out of order. I think they're actually in order in reverse, so that's just how we're going to do it. So, as always, shout out to Rick the Squirrel for giving us the breakdown on the buffs and nerfs for all the characters. Starting off with Anguirus 2021. Anguirus 2021 had his HP increased by 18.8%. The distance for when his reflection activates changed between 50 to 100 meters to between 45 and 140 meters. This will now be able to hit things like Godzilla Rio. And his damage resistance intake between that measure of distance increased from 40% to 50% less damage. The only units that are able to bypass this deflect are Ava Unit 08 in sniper mode and units within a reach of under 45, such as Gigan 04 and Beast Glove Kong. Being able to pull him closer to units below 45 range will also stop the deflect. Anguirus went from like a C, mid to low C tier character to easily an A. I don't know exactly where in A he will fall. Probably somewhere like up here. I think for sure. I think Anguirus singular point is for 4 costs, definitely one of the better units you can put in that 4 cost slot. Extremely strong, just absolutely melts any long range unit. Yeah, he probably will die before things like Rio, or actually I think he'll probably kill out Rio, but he'll probably die maybe before things like the Final Wars Godzilla or even Godzilla Ultima Dust form kills him, but I think that's level dependent. I think at a high enough level, Anguirus is going to actually just roast most of the long-range characters in the game. I think he's going to be extremely good utility for as long as snipers are meta, which sucks for me because I love snipers. That's my favorite thing in the game. And he kind of fucks up my entire game plan every time he shows up. But yeah, Anguirus, super good now. Definitely going from C to A tier for sure. Next is Grand King Ghidorah. Grand King Ghidorah had his HP increased by 10.68% and his attack increased by 28.44%. I don't remember where I had Grand King Ghidorah last season, but Grand King Ghidorah is fine. I think they're like middling B somewhere. I think they're a strong character. I think Wound is pretty good, but, you know, the Vultures are coming to the game next season, and the Vultures also put Wound on, so we'll have to see if they're just a better Wound applier than Grand King Ghidorah, because I think right now the only thing saving Grand King Ghidorah is being the only one in the game that applies Wound, which is really nice to take advantage of, but now that other characters are going to start applying it, we're going to see who's really better at applying Wound, and then overall who's better on your team, and then they're, I think, going to take a higher spot on next month's list. But Grand King Ghidorah, I'm putting him in B tier. I've seen him a few times this season. I think he's pretty decent. I don't think he's super good, at least right now with whatever's going on. Next, we're going to talk about Godzilla 2002 and 2003. So this one right here is 2002. This one is 2003, because 3 has the scars on his chest. Godzilla 2002 and 2003 both gained resistance to slow. Phenomenal. Chef's kiss. Godzilla 2002 had his HP increased by 12.76 and his assault mode damage increased by 21.16%. And then Godzilla 2003 has his HP increased by 11.3% and his assault mode damage increased by 21.13%. What we're going to do is we're going to put the assault mode Godzilla in A this season, and then the evolved form is for certain going into S, like for sure. We've hit like a peak this season with a rush style meta. We're gonna get into Fire Rodan in a second, but the 2 leaders that were changed, Final Wars Godzilla and Biollante, are facilitating like pushing your characters up super fast. Their speed buffs and Fire Rodans we'll talk about stack on top of the rush mode with both of the Godzilla 2002/3, and it makes them so incredibly fast. That big slam is so incredibly potent. Yeah, it takes 2 deaths for 2002 to evolve in 2003, but it doesn't matter because they're both really have come up in strength, and I don't think that they would be in as good of a spot as they are if they weren't also stun immune. Having stun immunity is absolutely monumental to this kit. Slows would stop them in their tracks instantly. Stun does, of course, but the only stunner we're really seeing in the meta right now is Scar King. I mean, sometimes in the beginning of the season, you were seeing some Gigan 04s, but Scar King has really stuck around for months and months and months. So yeah, that'll stop him, but you throw this guy in water, you throw the Biollante boost on him, and he's on the other side of the map in literally like a second and a half. Like, it's crazy. So, yeah, the 2-missile Godzilla is fantastic. Fire Rodan. I believe the Fire Rodan 1993 also did get a change. So, for Fire Rodan 1993, he had his cost reduced from 4 to 3. It's perfect. 4 is a little too expensive. I feel like 3 is a really good spot for regular Rodan 1993. Fire Rodan had his HP increased by 13.68%, and his movement AoE spawn effect increased from 80% speed to 120% speed, and then his AoE spawn effect increased by 2.5 times. His AoE spawn effect went from maybe doing 90 tiles in a full circle around him to essentially your entire half of the map, right? Barring the corners of 4 circles, because he's gonna like encompass the whole map and you hit the corners, whatever, he doesn't count them, but he's gonna hit like every single one of your units now. So we're gonna put from C tier, we're gonna put the Fire or the 1993 Rodan with like some of these other units here. I think that is just a really good facilitator now of evolution. Super 3 cost dies, you get Fire Rodan. Cool. I'm gonna move him from C to B. Nothing super special here. Fire Rodan proper. Man, I don't know. Do I want to put him in the top of A? I might put him in the top of A. Maybe he's S tier. Maybe he's like S tier this season. And him and the other Godzilla that we just talked about are rentable too. Fire Rodan's so good. You get that speed boost. You're shooting your units up all the way across the map, and he's usually going to come out ahead of them, and then he'll die, and then he'll put a heal up, so it gives your guys a little bit of juice. I really like Fire Rodan a lot. Listen, his S placement here, I might be biased. I've been using him all season, so I might be like, oh, he's really, really good. He's S tier. I think realistically speaking, maybe he belongs in the A. Maybe he belongs in the A tier. But I've been using him a lot, and he's rentable. I think he's probably going to have to go into the S tier this season. I think he's really good. Will this rush meta stick around into the September season? I have no idea, right? If this rush meta sticks around, then I think these characters are going to, we're going to just come to an agreement that they've been S tier, high A, S tier. But if they, the rush meta stops next season because the levels stop being rentable, right? Then I don't know, but I think that Fire Rodan is pretty good. I think he's an S tier. I think an argument could be made for A tier. He's probably in the high A, but I am really enjoying him this season. I'm putting him in the S. Next is Godzilla Tower. They said it would never be done. Godzilla Tower had its HP increased by 216%, and then its search range increased from 95 to 120%. This is no longer the worst unit in the game. Godzilla Tower was actually maybe the worst unit in this entire game for a long time. It's not. It's way better than it was, and not a whole lot of people are running trains these days for whatever reason, so he is thriving. I think Godzilla Tower is probably... I don't want to put him too high, but I think Godzilla Tower is realistically like middle, top end of B? Because you obviously can't make a huge push with it, but it's really solid for defense. It's been around in the game long enough by this point that if you've been playing the game since it was released, you probably have it at level 30. 120 range is really strong on defense. This is a way better Mark-Light cannon. It has the same kind of effect as Godzilla 2021, where he just drains the enemy of their health. At 120 range, by your leader, it's really, really strong. And even at the end of the game, if it's like overtime and you guys are within 120 or 120 range or lower of each other, you and the enemy leader, and you put this down, it can grab the enemy leader, right? It'll laser the enemy leader and just drain him and drain him and drain him and drain him until either the enemy leader is dead or the Godzilla Tower is dead. So I'm putting in the B tier. I think because it's a facility, it can't really get any higher without some kind of additional support. like, Choppers is a... the Choppers are a B tier unit, like a low B unit, without Gamera 67, or whatever Gamera it is. But with Gamera on the team, the Choppers is like an S tier, right? So without something that's going to facilitate your facility in some additional kind of way, I think they can get really higher than B tier. But that's all the buffed characters. Let's talk about some of the new ones. And let's start off with Megalon. I have his stats right here. I have the game open. 4 cost. Let's look at his stats. 2-second attack speed, 100 search range, targets leader, ground, aerial facilities, reach is 55, movement speed is 22. Introduction. On deployment, deals damage and knockback up to 5 times in a straight line ahead while moving. When attacking, launches single target attacks when it is targeted by enemy units. Deals damage and knockback up to 3 times in a straight line ahead while moving when it's not targeted. This attack has a 7-second cooldown. As a support unit that deals damage and knockback in a straight line ahead, it can help to use group units to spread enemy attention and reduce the chance of this unit being targeted. When pushing enemy units away with knockback, it can end up being surrounded, so be careful. Yes, I am finding that as the season has progressed, people have not really been using Megalon. I think he's super interesting. I think Megalon is a really, really cool character. I think the knockback is really strong. I think Megalon is extremely good in All-Star Battle. 4 cost, push a bunch of guys back, make some space. Megalon is extremely strong in All-Star Battle. In Arena, I feel like he is basically pushing characters back and then die. Because he's going to push a bunch. He can push back anyone in his little zone. And then you get to, like, he's going to, you know, switch to his single target attack, and then he's just going to get shot down, right? Pretty much by whatever's looking at him. I'm finding that when you place him and he does the big push, sometimes if you think there might be an enemy in that radius, sometimes they're just barely not in it, and it's kind of hard to tell depending on the size of the character. I like Megalon a lot. I don't think he is particularly super good. Maybe if you're a new player, you could find a lot of use for him, but I think for 4 costs, he's really solid. I'm going to put him in the B tier. And I feel like that's kind of rude, but I really don't think that Megalon is making it into, like, the top end of teams in the arena. I think people are just using him because he's rentable and he's the fun new toy. And next season and the seasons after, you're probably not going to see him unless there's either substantial change to Megalon or something that's going to facilitate, I don't know, knockback or something. I have no idea what would make him viable. I think he's good. And he's rentable this season, so use him. I just don't think he's, like, the best thing in the game. For a unit that I do think is good, though, is the Godzilla vs. Megalon 2003. He is a 6 cost. This is the Gemstone Godzilla. 6 cost. His attack speed is 2.8 seconds. His search range is 110. His reach is 45. Targets leader, ground, facilities, movement speed of 14, stun effect time 0.6 seconds. He has a pounce attack, and he puts low flying state on enemy units for 20 seconds. When attacking, deals damage in a forward circular attack. Enemy units hit by this attack are inflicted with stun for 0.6 seconds. Units cannot attack when inflicted by stun. Unique behaviors. When there is no enemy unit within attack range, but there is an enemy in search range, it performs a pounce to leap forward. Pounce deals damage in a circular attack with a 130% attack percent increase and inflicts the low flying state. Pounce can only be executed once every 8 seconds. An offensive unit that can use a pouncing attack and a circular attacks to inflict stun. This formidable unit performs preemptive strikes from a distance to lead the charge from the front line. Since it can inflict stun, it is effective against units with low attack speeds. I think that this Godzilla is like S tier this season. I don't know where he places. Maybe he places something like this season, high S. I think maybe people will say he's high A. I think he's high S. I like having the ability for this Godzilla to jump out, stun something. Or he doesn't stun with the kick. He applies low flying state, which is good if you're using singular point Anguirus. He can attack flying. You put low flying state down. He can now attack flying. It works out. Not a whole lot of non-flyer attackers in the meta these days, but Anguirus is certainly one of them. He pounces. Once he pounces, that does damage for 130% increase, and then he starts throwing bows, right? He'll punch him. That punch does an AoE, and it stuns. It's minor, because he only has 45 reach, or range, I should say. but that's a good stun. He stuns the leaders, he stuns the enemy units, he gets in their face, and he starts stunning them. Do you want to lead your push with him? I don't know. I feel like he's better facilitating like a push, like helping out from the back line. So you have your push, you have your Scar King pull someone in, you have maybe someone else attacking or whatever, or you have Scar King pull them in, then you have this guy from the back ropes jump in, stun it, hit him, and then stun him again, and you just keep the train going. I think he's really good. I think he's extremely versatile. I think he really deserves the S spot because I think he's an extremely versatile plug and play character. We don't really get a whole lot of characters that are just general use good in the game. Sometimes there are characters that really want a specific strategy, or they're just alright in certain regards. I think he's just general use really good. I think that Gemstone Godzilla is really solid. I think that he has a lot to offer to the game. He's rentable this season, and he's a brand new character, so obviously he's seeing a lot of play. Will he see play next season? I feel like he will. I think he will. I think Gemstone Godzilla is popular enough that people are going to continue using him and investing in him. I think he's cool enough in the game that people are going to continue using him, and I think his ability actually isn't horrible. I think that stun is really what sells it. If he didn't have that stun, I think he would be far worse. But because he can get this additional stun on top of all the other weird things that he does, I think he's S tier this season. Maybe next season he goes into the A tier. Maybe next season he hits A tier, right? Because he's rentable this season, so everyone has him at an inflated level. So maybe next season he drops to S and he goes into A. I think that's fair. Finally is the new Megagearus Odaiba version. 4 cost, stats, attack speed 1.9 seconds, search range 75, targets leader ground aerial facilities, reach is 70, movement speed is 18, stun effect time is 1 second. Unique behaviors. When it is attacked by an enemy unit targeting it, it will dodge the attack with high speed movement. After dodging the attack, it will move behind the enemy unit and inflict stun for 1 second. However, if the enemy unit is too far away to move all the way behind it, it will only move as far as it can. The high speed movement can only be executed once every 10 seconds. The high speed movement will not be executed in response to damage taken from deployment damage, status effects, effect battle pieces, or leader special moves. The high speed movement will also not be executed when this unit has an attack nullification. A special unit that can move behind an enemy unit and stun it when attacked. Using allied units to create a pincer attack when it moves behind an enemy unit can be an effective strategy, since you can use it like a trap, deploy to a location where it can intentionally draw enemy fire. I think this Megagearus is really, really good. I think this Megagearus is really, really good this season. I think maybe she's high A. Maybe... I'm going to say she's high A only because she does not have a whole lot of health. She doesn't have a whole lot of health, and she doesn't do a whole lot of damage. But she's 4 cost, she basically has an attack nullification, and she totally redirects enemies. So I think her stats are what's holding her back from being an S tier. I think she's like at the top A this season, like for sure. I've deployed her long enough into battle. We go deep into the battle, and I've deployed her. She goes to attack the enemy leader. Enemy leader attacks her. She zips around the enemy leader with her ability, and then the enemy leader totally turns around to go fight her, and it's wide open from the rest of my team. I think that's really strong, a little pincer attack with her. I think her weaknesses are moving behind the enemy units because it puts her deeper into enemy territory, like Megalon. And then if they're not close enough, like if, what's his name, Rio Godzilla shoots her, she's going to hit that teleport ability, right? Or the dash that she does, the digital dash. And then she's not going to be near Rio. Rio's just going to have to stop attacking and then attack again. So that's really the only knocks against her, right? Is that she is going to put herself into harm's way for no reason. But she doesn't do the effect if you have attack nullifications. So if you give her like the Rainbow Mothra leader ability, once those are gone, then she'll do the dash. So it saves you, you know, it saves you time on the dash, which is good because you're going to have to go through the shields first, and then you get the dash. It's like having 2 or 3, right? She's extremely versatile. For 4 cost, she is extremely versatile. She has a really fast attack speed of 1.9 seconds. She has a pretty decent reach of 70, but it does put her within the reach of most leaders, which you kind of want because then you want her to dash around them and stun them. Because she's going to dash. The dash is not what's making them target her. It's the stun. She's going to stun and the leaders are going to retarget. Really strong. 4 cost, fast attack speed, being able to retarget enemies or reposition enemies, kind of retarget, make them retarget and turn leaders totally around, I think is super good. I think she's A tier for certain this season. She is rentable, so obviously that's going to inflate her worth this season. Will we see her next season and going into the next? I'd hope so. I feel like she's really good. I feel like newer players are going to get a lot of mileage out of her. I feel like at the top end, though, she's not really competing in the best in slot section for some higher end decks, because like we said, she is putting herself in harm's way like Megalon, and that is a huge detriment. The only reason she's higher than Megalon here is she's got that stun and she's got a faster attack, but they're putting each other in themselves in harm's way, and I think that's a major knock against both of them. So guys, that is what I got for you today. I hope you enjoyed this little bit of informative tier list. This is what the whole thing looks like right here. Boop. So yeah, that is what I got for you today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.